jamespoeartistry.online.
Welcome to the Perceptive Readers Podcast, everyone. I hope you had a good week. If you want to listen to some of the podcasts I made all throughout the week, uh, some of them have been placed on the buymeacoffee.com James Poeartistry page. So they're under, the support. Um, you can still see I got a bunch of them to upload there. But at least I'm trying to still stick to at least one regular podcast a week. I'm sure there will be more. And this one is really on a note where I just want to not only continue to thank the grand creator, Jehovah God, for the knowledge you see that he has given to the whole world. I told you even the Holy Bible, which is the main focal point of his knowledge, he already told us everything that we would face on this earth throughout history and even today into the future. So we are not ignorant, you see, of what is going on. It even says in one passage that we are not ignorant of his enemy's design. I believe it actually says ignorant of Satan, Satan designs or the evil one designs. All the same, I wanted to state that because of this fact right here. See, a large number of people, and you're probably one of them, you have really grasped this all sides of human emotions, feelings, you see what I'm saying, and activities for us as humans. And from what you have related, you are not oblivious at all that humans are wonderfully made and complex at the same time. You see? And so the more you end up with, in this case, I'm not telling you something that you don't know. The more you have studied and meditated on these matters, you see, being a thinking person, as my, now return to the ground father would say, you do grasp deeper things. Those deeper matters come to you because of your sincere desire and effort that you put into it. You see what I'm saying? It's your sincere desire and effort that you put into it. Jesus once talked about in a way of giving, but the principle is the same, that if you give out a lot of good stuff, if you give to other people, then he was saying they'll come back and they'll give you something or what have you, all pressed down, overflowing, you see. So there would be 10 or 100-fold of what you gave out. Well, that's the same thing with knowledge about life, knowledge about God. What you put into it, some of you have already shown from your statements. You have read a lot. Some of you believe in what I call human natural writing. You have written your own books. You know what that takes to actually write a book. Yes, I'm not talking about the process of getting it published. No, I'm literally talking about sitting down and writing on a daily or weekly basis and putting information down. Your mind is just regurgitating past events. What a word to use. I mean, because I want it to sound better than that, but it really is. You're diving into, as some persons will say, a reservoir or river or water or ocean of knowledge that then you start putting into your books. You're once again thinking about some of that knowledge that you picked up over the years that you may not have thought about until this time. And that's what you do. And then if you're going to the library, a joy that maybe some of us don't get to do as much as maybe we used to or what have you. but then you're picking up other knowledge from reading, etc. Guess what? You are a thinking person. And then when you take it to a spiritual aspect, the way that some of you are mentioning that I at least get to hear, you know what? That also shows humility. So what am I what am I saying? Well, I got a little bit more to say about this, because some of your expressions as well. I've heard some expressions today that cracked me up. I said, now I never heard anyone say it like this. I don't think I heard them say it exactly like this, because with the flavor that this person even said it in, you see, and the statement in itself, in one sense, it's a contradiction from another, I would say, type of poetic mind. But guess what? The person who's made this other statement that I'm about to tell you, well, they are a poet themselves. So this is one poet taking the statement, seemingly a contradiction in what is being said, but both of them certainly were related in factual ways. And what statement is that? Have you ever heard the statement, ignorance is bliss? Well, there's another poet, because see, you can look it up, and eventually I'll most likely, you see, mention this person's name, but you can probably find it, through your own research or what have you. But this other poet ended up saying, and the way that they said it, they mentioned, see, ignorance is beautifully bliss. And the whole point or concept that this poet was developing, what I wanted to tell you today is to see exactly why they stated it the way that they did. And the other point before closing that I want to make, that really some of you have really come to grasp, it is true. We live in an outrageously, beautiful world that still shows the grand creator's goodness. And yes, diametrically opposed, opposite, just bad people and spirit beings that are around us too. And remember, and that's the point I want to emphasize, you know what? Sometimes I've learned everything I needed to know about bullies. You see, some of us, even before we hit middle school, and it's this: whenever there is a force that will stop bullies from bullying others, then they always take what we would call a preemptive strike. They will get conniving and proactive in their efforts to already attack you, malign your character, your name, etc. You see what I'm saying? So the whole point is, this is the reality of the world. And so one thing that this person was talking about is, some people like, and I've seen this, some people like to say that, you attract what you are. And you know what? Something that's not really, again, totally accurate, because if you don't go around, let me use the example, robbing banks or anything of that nature, then why in the world would you be robbed? You see what I'm saying? It's like you didn't bring that on yourself. It goes into other areas. You got a lot of people who just go around doing good. And yet, because of the neighborhood or environment that they live in, guess what? They're already saturated with it around them. I mean, that's what goes on in ghettos all the time. So when these bad things happen to these persons, did it happen to them just because they were attracting it? No, they're just already in that environment. Like for many of us, we're already in a bullified environment spiritually. And And so you grasp that. And I want to tell you this as well. Yeah, some of you have picked up, you know, if some of these people have a tendency to say, oh, this person think they're better than another, or this or that, or what have you, who they think they are, and this and that. And you know what I will say to at least some of those persons is this. You know what? Do you want to be bullied? Do you want to, for the most part, to every time it boils down to it, you're not going to have one human being help you, even if they want to? All they can do is sometimes just give you a look or make an expression that I know. Why? Because bullies like to keep those types of persons from one another. And you can have two people who are jiving, same mind length, spiritual length, comprehension, and everything. But if you get those two persons together and they really are based on the same sheet of paper and truth, guess what happens? All hell still will focus on breaking that connection. See, so now I'm going to give you some insight. That's one of the reasons why, when I always say there's a window of time that I operate in for this reason or that reason. See, some of those windows of times, I already done seen, at least in my lifetime, how the evil, wicked one really does work. So whether some of these persons in the past realize it or not, when I dealt with them in this way or that way or what have you, they can thank the grand creator. That was for them. That was for them. And sad to say, though, never would we want to show a lack of appreciation for what the grand creator did do for them. And that doesn't mean the person or minister who participated, like if I'm talking about myself, participated in this way, did not receive some type of immense enjoyment or satisfaction. Wouldn't say that at all, because the worker, once again, is able to enjoy his work, even spiritually speaking, just as much as the person that is feeding. What I am saying is, what you have to learn, what everybody have to learn, though, is it will show great lack of appreciation. A lack of appreciation to then, when the person moves on for one reason or the next, then you beat down and tear down the very slave of God, you see, that you were able to enjoy many good things until that window of time was for that person to move on to the next. You see what I'm saying? But yet, that's the state that we have gotten in today with some. If you can't, if anybody can learn anything from God, it is to appreciate at times the goodness that he did give and hold on to it tight. And then if it happens to even be part of an individual, let the individual continue to move on to what they're moving on to. Okay? So this was my point that I want to share with you all, to let you know you're not insane. No, you're not. And what I was going to state about, when you have been bullied, you realize once you've been through it enough, you're never going to be like that again. Not sitting down taking it. You're just not going to let bad persons, you see what I'm saying, do bad things to you and even others, especially your loved ones, without you at least saying something, without you at least writing, without you at least speaking about it or what have you. Because in a personal way, I always think about the way that Jesus talked about the preach and the preach, you see, about everything he saw, people saw and heard from him. And that's what people do. And it's wonderful. And it's mostly always started off on, a positive a note of getting to understand one another, this and that. And yet, for the ones who are willing, for the ones who eyes have opened to another level, then yes, then other deeper things are talked about. And there are times that those deeper topics, see, it's still not for everybody, even ones who have already dedicated and baptized, dedicated their life and got baptized through water immersion. And if you can talk about certain ones in some of those certain settings, and it literally will crack them up. You see, and we don't want to crack people up. But to the poet and the writer mind at times, I've talked about people. You could talk, you could just talk about it with somebody all day long, and it wouldn't even bit more phase them. You see, in at least in the negative way of what people try to say. Human beings are complicated. So yes, even though we are what we eat, as persons would say, I would say this, and it's like with drinking. You got some persons that did you know they can take almost like just a sip of beer, and they already intoxicated. At least don't let them drink a half a beer. They already intoxicated. But let me tell you, you got some persons. I'm speaking for a friend that in their heyday they could practically drink a whole bottle of. Oh, I bet not mention the brand. You just pick a brand and know it, and still be walking straight and trying to scrounge up some money for some more. But but the whole point is this: you get what I'm saying with even certain types of knowledge, in moderation, in and some people say a safeguarded setting, appropriate setting. I would say again, when you're writing and you're being creative in the first place, we all know we can get out there in the first place. Science fiction, that's what we're talking about, science fiction. But you know what I mean. As I used to say about science fiction, sometimes science fiction actually has items in it, even in those space cowboy or whatever type of science fiction movies, that really, these are activities at times that, if you read the Bible, are going on in the spirit realm with all these types of superpower, super strength, flying beings and things of that nature, but the writer took it upon themselves and they just let their mind go there, and they went and created a show this way or that way. Some, was inspired by the Bible, through some of their quotes that they even put in their series and stuff like that. And some just was inspired by maybe another human being. And some, just because of their walk in nature, they developed, this aptitude, if you will, of wanting to write about this or that as well. We do the best we can. And even with this, you attract what you are, or what have you. I still say again, you know what? If you think you see, as this is what I pick up from this person too. If people walk around saying they're a good person, again, you don't have to be inquiring into this person's life on whether you're going to decide to cheapskate them or not, just because they are, another type of belief system or what have you. It's like, okay, if you're an honest person, then it's still your responsibility to not be a thief to nobody, not even to a thief. You see, if they haven't stolen from you, then you don't have to go, trying to steal something from them or what have you. The whole point is you're still supposed to do good, whether you feel somebody else is suffering repercussions for their bad actions or not. You see, in finishing, I got to say, just like if somebody goes to see a doctor, they could have been talking about that doctor all day. But when they get in that doctor's office, the doctor is going to bandage them up. And that's a good thing to do. You see, EMTs, first responders, etc. And that's what, you see, we have to keep in mind as we all continue to grow. As we grow, if we're good people, then we know how to show love. And we don't look for excuses or loopholes to make matters worse on the person who's already going through something. And see, and that's even spiritual, that we're not supposed to do that. That's the Bible as well. Take care. Have a wonderful day.